Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Two Guys and Some Horror. And tonight, we are going to live deliciously and talk about The Vitch, or The Witch. And join together, as I am Clark, and with my buddy Curtis, we are the two guys. And the Vitch is the horror. Curtis, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you doing, my man?
Ah, it could be better, but it's going pretty good, so I can't complain. Can't complain. I mean, I can and I will, but right now I won't. Curtis, how did you feel about the Vitch?
Okay, here's my initial thoughts. I try to summarize it into like a sentence. Um,
Yeah.
so for me, the movie is very slow building. It's got
Mm-hmm.
that slow like ramp up in a great way, though, in my opinion. It's perfectly unsettling at times and is a really well made film. I enjoy it.
100%. Very unsettling, very uncomfortable. So this is actually an indie film. It aired in Sundance in 2015, or it was made in 2015. Aired in Sundance February 1st, 2015. Was nominated for a lot of awards and a lot of different kind of. It was in a kind of. I think it was just the Sundance Film Festival where it was aired, and from there it went to go on to actually being put in theaters where it was nominated for like several awards. Like it got nominated for a Golden Tomato, a Golden Trailer, Gotham Awards, as you would love. It's won quite a few Independent Spirit Awards, London Critics. The list kind of goes on there. It won the Best Directing Award. Robert Eggers uh, made this film. If you, those of you who know Robert Eggers is he directed The Lighthouse as well with Willem Dafoe, as well as The Northman, which is upcoming. So be excited for that if you liked both The Vitch and The Lighthouse. Two very unsettling and uncomfortable films. The budget for this film was about $4 million. Box office opening night, it made about $8 million, a little bit over $8 million. And from there, I think the gross worldwide is 8.8 million. Sorry, gross USA was like 25 million, and then worldwide it made about 40. So definitely got its money back. Mr. Eggers just kind of shot his career through here, and now we have just this director who's going to continue making super crazy, uncomfortable films that just make me not want to watch them.
And I can't wait for what else he
Yeah.
has coming down the pipeline.
Oh, I don't like this film. I don't like it. It makes me very uncomfortable, and it's not. I'm not saying it's not good. It's tremendous. I don't know any of the actors in this film. You have the kind of the lead, Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Thomason, the main heroine of the film, Ralph Ineson, who plays William, and dude, his voice is so set so well for kind of a 1630s Puritan setting. And yeah, no, great acting. Every character,
We
every
left out
character.
the mom, Kate Dickie from Game of Thrones.
I didn't even know she was in Game of Thrones, man.
Yeah, she's Kat's sister. She breastfeeds in that show, and she also breastfeeds in this film.
You mean we'll talk about that? That's She didn't really breastfeed anything. She
At
kind
the
of just
beginning of the
had
movie,
something.
she
Oh,
breastfeeds
right.
Samuel, though. Yeah,
Oh,
but
you're
yeah,
right. You're
if
right.
you want to crack that open
And
now,
then a
go
crow
right
feeds
ahead.
on her, and then a crow feeds on her breast. So get a little bit more
Oh,
literal with the breastfeeding
ugh.
there. Oh yeah, yeah. One of the most uncomfortable scenes in this film. Uh, Anyhow, kind of jumping into it, you have this family in 1630s New England, English settlers who are Puritans. They were kind of living in Plymouth, and they're banished from the colony over a religious dispute. And it is uh, like I don't know if they're banished. It's kind of we assume that they're banished. Uh, but the main character, he definitely wanted to leave because he feels like they are sinners and he is the true God, man of God. Uh, Later on, he says like it was his pride, but you know, this family of I think five. You have the eldest, Thomason, the oldest boy. Um, I keep forgetting his name, Caleb, and then you have the twins, Mercy and Jonas, and then you have the baby, Samuel. And the kind of the setting where this movie kind of takes off and becomes creepy, like winter is coming. They're trying to get ready to take care of themselves, get food set aside, set the crops, get the crops going, make sure they can kind of survive because this is northeastern United States, which that alone is unsettling. It's like, are they going to survive through the winter? They're working really hard. And from there, there's like these little issues that kind of appear, Curtis. And like with the baby, Thomason's playing peekaboo with him and he disappears like that.
Yeah, which I mean, right now I have a 3-month-old, so that scene was pretty gut wrenching, to say the least. The fact that you're playing peekaboo with your child or your younger sibling or whatever, and then 2 seconds later, you uncover your face, and your child is gone, with really no trace. Like she doesn't see, Thomason doesn't see where baby Samuel goes. We get to see where baby Samuel goes, but she's pretty much just left completely blindsided about what happened.
Yeah, no, and at this point, Catherine is already disillusioned with Thomason. Like she hates her daughter after the baby gets lost. And you just feel this entire discomfort between her, her mother, her father, and her brother's horny for her. He keeps looking at her like hungrily. Caleb's like all into his sister, which just adds an extra layer of discomfort to this film.
It does, and he
And
tries really hard to not let it, consume his thoughts. Every time he does it, you can kind of tell there's a little bit of shame in what he's doing, but at the same time, he's that young lust, that uncontrollable, I want to see my sister kind of a feeling like keeps creeping up inside of him. It's definitely the only word to use is really is unsettling. It's like a perfect
yeah,
way to describe it.
well, it's meant to make the audience uncomfortable, and they hit it. They hit it hard. This family, like after the baby goes, we see like this lady kind of hunched over, killing the baby and making some sort of ointment, which the director or whoever they reveal it's like a flying ointment or something, but we didn't really get that as the audience. It's
No,
just
we really
weird.
don't. It's a historical fact that um, someone wrote in a book about witches back in the day, and I mean, when I was looking at like the Wikipedia page for this film, um, they go into a lot of great detail, the historical background that Eggers went through to find out more about witches from the old Plymouth plantation days is really cool. And the fact that he puts as much detail as he does into this film, I think really helps set that tone.
Right. Well, I think regardless of what happens, like the baby kidnapping, the baby being devoured, tensions just continue to grow in between this family. The twins talk to the family Black Goat, Billy Goat, Black Phillip, which black goats are kind of a symbol for Satan in a lot of religious mythology. So Baphomet is known to have a goat's head and kind of a torso, not a torso, a bottom, and his torso is that of a man, and with a phallus of a snake. It's very satanic, and it's kind of pointed to throughout the whole film that Black Phillip is this demonic presence or evil presence that is hosting some sort of demon. It's not really like completely revealed though until the very end of this film, and even then, like you just see these twins kind of talking to him the whole time. Which at that point, before watching this, I saw this movie like a year ago when I was dating Emily, and when we watched this, like I was these kids are talking to this goat, and I'm like, that goat's just a red herring. He's not. He's not a red herring. There are no red herrings in this film whatsoever. Everything you see is what you get. There are no tricks. There's no questions. Just levels and levels of layers and layers of discomfort. And
It's really nice how in your face it is too.
mhm.
It's like a magician standing right in front of you doing street magic. He's not hiding anything. He's just a little bit faster than you and hiding something that he's then gonna show later on or whatever. And that's what this film does with you a lot of times. Is this entire movie is basically this family struggling to survive out in the middle of the wilderness. Their child is taken. the mother is distraught, which then causes family splintering, and um, this entire family dynamic is now completely broken because she no longer trusts her
Right.
oldest daughter to take care of anybody, and the
Right.
father is just struggling to try and keep his family fed. And
Right. Alive. Yeah.
it's
Well, they
really
leave
well
and go
done.
to
Yeah.
town at some point, or they go somewhere. They're going hunting. But regardless of that, like Catherine,
Yeah.
she's like devastated. She's super depressed. She just cries and prays. William and Caleb go out hunting, and Caleb asks William, he's like, Samuel's unbaptized, the youngest child. Is he even going to go to heaven? And throughout this conversation, William kind of like this son's like wondering where these hunting supplies come from, and William's like, yeah, I sold your mom's silver cup for these that was like, I think it was her mother's or someone from her family, someone close to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she questions her husband, and they kind of discuss sending Thomason away after kind of the whole reveal with this cup. Like, we don't want her here anymore. We don't love her.
I think a very common theme throughout this entire film is about how lies can form truths in ways that can hurt you. Um,
Right.
I mean, William's lies snowball to the point where Thomason's already not trusted by the mother, and then the cup on top of it. Now the mother is hounding her about the cup at the dinner table, and the father is still not willing to fess up to what he did, right? Because his pride. That's another theme I think in this film is man's pride, but that's a whole nother topic. But the lying really snowballs for Thomason because after the son lies for the father about hunting and says, we went to go pick apples, not in the woods but in the valley, um, which is just another lie to build that story up.
Right.
Thomason's down doing her chores as she's told to, and when she's down there, the little sister comes up and she basically plays a trick on her sister, telling her sister she's a witch. And that's where Thomason really, in my opinion, her lies start to build up so big that it's uncontrollable for even herself. And I think it plays out really well towards the end of the film, which we'll get to, but just setting the tone there.
I don't know if she believed herself to be a witch until, like, I think she was just messing with them, trying to get their goat and just to scare them, which she does a great job of later on down the film. But Mercy and Jonas are just shits. They're
Yes.
little shits. They're the fucking reason this movie's garbage because they're talking to this black goat. The crops get fucked over. They let's kind of double back though.
Hmm.
Thomason like finds Caleb to check a trap, and like he threatens him, she threatens him to take her with him, and they find this hare which like scares their horse, and I think like someone falls off the horse, I don't remember,
So
but
the way that scene broke down, they check the trap, they find the hare, they tie everything up. They're heading back to the house, and in the process of coming back, something spooks the horse in the forest. Not necessarily the hare, but she's telling a story, and they're walking all happily. Something like the dog, I believe Fowler, is with them and gets attacked. And when the dog gets attacked, that spooks the horse. Caleb runs off to check on the dog, and at that same time, Thomason gets knocked off the horse unconscious. That's when they get split up.
the dog does indeed chase like after like the hare, like it goes after it, and Caleb like rushes after it, Thomason gets thrown off, um, and she gets unconscious. And then Caleb gets lost in the woods and he sees a naked lady, like a somewhat attractive naked lady. And he's this horny little 13-year-old boy who's been eyeing his sister, right? And he like walks towards her, and then the lady turns into some old, gross, decrepit hag and just grabs him. First jump scare in the film.
Yeah, when that old lady, the old witch hand comes up on the face, that really,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good one, especially when you're, I don't know, I'm always alone watching these films with my headset on, and
Mm.
for some reason that this one really, it got me good. I had a good jump, good startle.
No, yeah, agree. I agree. Definitely creepy. And I thought he was dead at this point the first time I saw this film, because they're everything's dying. Everyone's going to die. William finds the unconscious Thomason, though, takes her home. Thomason blames her for taking Caleb in the woods, even though he was going to go on his own. And at this point, like William tells Catherine that yeah, he's the one that sold the cup. It wasn't her because he defends Thomason at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just more tension between the family. Nobody trusts each other. Uh, just garbage. And that night, Caleb comes back naked in the freezing cold.
So that's when Thomason finds him outside, brings him inside. Uh, and then the cool part about that though is when we see the mother, laying over him the next day praying, and there's like this weird moment where we even as the viewers aren't really sure what's going on with him at this point.
Right.
You quickly get the sense because the mom obviously starts yelling "witch," the word "witch" around,
Uh-huh.
and the two kids are the crazy thing to me is these two twins, as much as little shits as they see everything, they hear everything, and they're gonna build their own thought process up around everything. The fact that Thomason even started calling herself a witch really, really backfires here because Caleb, in fact, does appear to be hexed in some way from a witch. And in the process of him crying out and having these convulsions and other weirdness going on, like he ends up dying.
Well,
And go
before he
ahead.
even dies, like they pull out this apple. This bloody apple comes out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But in when the mom's kind of praying over him, and the twins are singing songs about black with this black goat, Black Phillip, and at this point they accuse Thomason of witchcraft, and she's like, "Yes, I am a witch." And then I think the quote I have the quote here somewhere. Doot 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 doot. It's like, list not to her. She's like, "I be the witch of the wood. Liar, liar. I am. List not to her, Mercy."
It was I. Liar. 'Twas I what stole him. I be the witch of the wood. Liar. Liar. I am.
Listen not to her, Mercy.
Yeah, so at this point she's just trying to mess with these kids because she's angry. She's rightly so because everyone's treating her poorly. Um, and Thomason essentially lies and says Black Phillip told me to bring him, or the devil told me to bring him an unbaptized baby, so I stole Sam and gave him to my master, and I'll make any man or thing else vanish I like, which freaks the children out. And at this point, they believe she is a witch, which just bites her in the fucking face later on, like you said, 100%.
Yeah, the real problem with those twins is that they are just kids, right? And they don't know right from wrong yet. They don't know um, whether you're truly jesting them, as Thomason continues to say later on when she tries to defend herself. It was just in jest, um, and these kids. I mean, the kids don't know that, so it's too late now. She's already stirred up trouble, and the fact that Caleb is now dead, and William and his wife are now trying to figure out what's going on because they try to say the Lord's Prayer. And one of the big things historically is if you can't recite the Lord's Prayer, then you must be either a part of a cult or a witch of some sort.
Well, they forgot the words and they
They
start
just,
screaming
yeah, they
when
just straight up can't do it.
at this point it's like these twins are evil. But even before that, man, like remember when she's trying to milk the nanny goat
Yeah, and it ends
and
up
blood comes
squirting,
out?
yeah, blood out.
Yeah. And Caleb dies, he passionately proclaims his love to Christ. Says, "I love you, Jesus." And he's
I
dead.
want to lie in your lap, and then dead.
I don't. This film's so gross to watch. This takes forever, by the way, for all this to happen. Crops are dying. They have no food to kind of survive. Uh, so William starts to believe that Thomason is a witch, and he's like, "We're gonna take you to town, and we're gonna put you on trial." And Thomas is like, "No, it's not me." And she starts yelling shit out about her dad, and then she accuses the twins. So William just throws all three of them in the goat house.
With
And
with Black Phillip.
yeah, with Black Phillip.
And I think that was the piece that probably scared Thomason the most, because she specifically says, I don't want to be locked up with them and the goat. She's like,
Yeah,
no,
no.
let me out of here.
She keeps asking the twins like if they're talking to the goat for real, and they just don't tell her. They won't say anything.
At this point, in front of the goat, they can't, right? I mean, the goat will turn on them. I think, we talk about favorites a lot. I think my favorite scene is here where Caleb does return with the baby, which we kind of started talking about earlier with the breastfeeding. So my favorite scene is definitely the scene when Caleb returns that night. William's outside chopping wood in the rain, and Caleb returns with baby Samuel in his arms and basically just starts talking to his mother, and his mother is completely mesmerized by Caleb, and then she begins to breastfeed baby Samuel. At this same time, it cuts away, and then it cuts to the goat pen where everyone's locked up, and this witch is in there feasting on at the time, the goat, one of the goats, drinking from the goat most likely.
Yeah, so the witch is just like having a feast, right?
Yeah, and then she just turns and then just attacks the twins. And you just hear their shrieks. Ooh.
I don't know what happens because Thomason's hands are all bloody. And, with the crow scene, gross.
Yeah, so it cuts back after the kills, right? And it shows the mom just holding nothing, and the
twins
crow...
The twins are gone. Like, they're just gone.
So
at this point,
we never see the twins, but William asks if Thomason was the one who killed the twins because their blood is on her hands.
No, I think that's goat blood.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's goat blood.
We'll never know.
Because the goats are eviscerated. All the goats are dead. Like, each of them, except for Black Phillip. And as soon as Thomason gets up, Black Phillip just gores him, and he's dead.
Yeah.
And Catherine kind of shows up, and she's super manic, and she's like, it's all your fault. And she tries to murder Thomason. And Thomason's like, no. Cleaves her. Dead. Thomason's all alone with Black Phillip. And she's like, speaketh to me, thy big dark doo-doo head. And Black Phillip's like, do you want to live deliciously? And she's like, fuck it. Very end, she signs their name in a book.
And I love it
Black Phillip turns into a giant man.
But she's like, I don't know how to write my name. He goes, I'll guide thy hand. I'm like, ooh.
Oh, yeah. She follows him into a forest. He's this hot guy. And she just takes her clothes off, and they all start dancing around the trees. And that's the end of the film.
Well, and then all the older witches. And this is the part that I think is kind of what you're talking about, where the twins might have been taken away, because all of the older witches, they all begin to rise and fly into the air, and then Thomason also rises and flies into the air. And a common historical written thing about witches is that they need young children's fat, or even baby fat, to be more specific, to make things fly. That was like a common ingredient. And it's just, maybe that's where the twins went.
I think the twins joined them. I don't know. I think because they were definitely talking to Black Phillip, and they might have signed things because they couldn't recite the Lord's Prayer. At that point, blaming Thomason when the twins couldn't pray, I don't know, man. She could at least pray.
The prayer is a big signal to like 1630s Protestants that if you couldn't say the prayer, if you could not recite it or remember it, you were a witch. Like, that was one of their big check of the box. And the fact that, they turned on Thomason and allowed the kids who couldn't recite the prayer to stay was, But the father does kind of yell at them.
They all get locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks they're fucking with them.
Yeah, he's like, I'll bash your head in. He basically is holding Jonas up.
He picks him up with one arm, and he just like lifts him up.
Yeah.
This monster.
Well, and they were just laying in there,
gross.
and they wouldn't respond to him, which also I found very weird. As a kid,
They were fucking with them.
Yeah, definitely. That's the problem with this whole
They're
movie, though, is
they were
everyone is a
possessed,
liar. Everyone is a liar.
except for Caleb. And
I don't know, because he was lying about not having feelings for his sister. In a way,
I
he's
mean, he
lying to
was.
himself.
I guess so. I guess so. What's her face? Catherine didn't lie. She was
No,
just a
Catherine.
shithead the whole movie.
Well, Catherine lied about her feelings towards her older daughter in a way.
Hmm.
That lack of distrust, that in alone is like a sign of, just like she was definitely battling something mental, right? Throughout after losing her son, and I mean I can't argue with her, but at the same time, like back in 1630, do you even know how to handle that? I doubt it. It's just too much, man.
Yeah. You know, the young witch was actually the lady who played the young attractive witch was actually a model.
Is she?
Sarah Stevens, yes.
Is there a
She was.
what is it?
What's up?
Uncensored? Is there a director's cut or something? Because when Caleb goes to the hut on Netflix, where I watched it, she's in the red outfit. She's not nude, but she definitely
Uh,
has like her cleavage showing. You mentioned that Caleb saw her nude when he found her.
I guess she wasn't nude, but he definitely reaches out to touch her, and then she grabs him. She's
Okay, I was
just
just
this
curious
disgusting witch.
if there was a different cut that I might have not seen, because I would have loved to see something with
Some
no editing.
some. You'd love to see some boobies, is what you're saying?
I mean, I can see boobies whenever I want.
I mean, most people can, but yeah, let's talk about the music.
Yeah, so I just this OST is amazing. Um, I've been actually listening to it all day today while I work, and it's really, I just love the atmosphere that it builds, and I thought it was phenomenal throughout this entire film, up until the credits. So there is one track that I don't like, but everything else in it was really good, and I just want to make a comment about it, because rarely does a movie actually get put into my playlist for like work music, and this is one that I'll probably be going back to for a while. It's really nice. It's good.
Mm, nice. I like that. So I think we talked about the film in its entirety already, and we kind of rushed through it, but there's not. I don't know. This movie's just unsettling, and I don't know how to do it any more justice than that. But Curtis, is there anything you kind of want to talk about a little bit more before I kind of get into the goofs and the fun facts and trivia?
No, I think we did this movie justice. It's a lot harder to talk for an hour long about a good movie, is what I've realized. And if anything, a shorter episode just credits that this movie is that good. There isn't a lot to nitpick or dissect or trash talk or
Yeah.
have fun with. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, a shorter episode does this movie justice, and I feel like
I
it's
don't. Because we gushed over Jaws, we gushed over a lot of films that we really like that are really good. I think this is one of those movies that you just kind of have to watch and just feel uncomfortable because it's not everything just happens very slowly, and it's not a lot of things that are happening.
no. This is a really easy watch. It really is,
Yeah.
truthfully.
Oh. Oh
Especially
man.
with how often, even when they're talking, you don't even need to listen to what they're saying. You can just figure it out.
I had to turn this movie off and then come back to it like an hour later because it just made me feel so uncomfortable.
That's maybe
Yeah.
that's a I didn't have that same feeling as I was watching it. I just sure there were moments that definitely made me feel uneasy, but I didn't have to. I didn't feel like I had to take that break. There's other movies that I definitely feel like I have to like stop
Yeah.
watching for a little while and then come back and finish it later. But no, this was a pretty easy watch for me.
Good.
But I'm excited for your goofs and your fun facts and
Well,
trivia.
there are some factual errors here. So back in the 1600s, especially here in like I guess Plymouth, or what do they call this era? I don't even know. It's like whatever it is. Like in the 17th century, they have all of these candles, and candles are like super rare back then. They're very expensive, and they have like so many candles like around their table when they're eating. And at that point in time, want to use them as sparingly as you can. You wouldn't have like bushels of candles. And they mistakenly use thou instead of you and you. So you is a formal term, and thou is more personal and informal. And they shouldn't have been saying you as much as they did. A
Interesting.
lot more thous. Yeah.
The reason why I
Yeah.
find that even more interesting is because, you know, the director, when he wrote this, he was specifically writing it from old, like, books that he found from people who lived in that era. So
Mhm.
I'm curious if the areas where he messed up are maybe where he decided to take his own creative privilege, right, and add those items in. So that's super interesting to hear.
I mean, it's common to miss things. He did his best. He did not do a bad job. He did fine. Like without knowing small little details like that, nobody would have caught that. Um, but yes. So remember when she untied? So the mother, Catherine. Remember when she removes her bloody garment? She does it with buttons and or with untying multiple string ties.
Mm-hmm.
So before she shows up and it's like closed with buttons. So like her undoing like laces just doesn't make sense if it is a buttoned up dress. Small things like that. Uh, yeah,
That's funny. That's a good catch. I didn't notice that.
yeah. There's some things that little nitpicks here and there that don't really matter, like nails having round heads, even though they had rectangular. I don't think those are really worth talking about.
I mean,
Uh,
like those
small,
must have been like people must have really spent a lot of time zooming in and analyzing that because I mean when I'm watching him hammer the
yeah.
nail in, he's not using a hammer, and the nails don't look like 2020 nails. They definitely look older and whatnot. So
Yeah,
that's some dedication right there to find those.
super nitpicks right there. Like people
Yeah,
really going in, oh, if this were a peace movie, it would be really look like this. It's just a little ridiculous. But hey, anyhow, in one shot of the film corn, the corn has signs of ergot, which is a hallucinogenic fungus that many attribute to real life stories of possession and witchcraft. It was all a fever dream. Also, the title of the film, The Vitch, the double V, is actually how the word was written back in the period, because the letter W was not actually yet in common use. Also, did you know this film was only shot in 25 days?
yes, I did.
That's that's a good use of your actor's time. So I hats off to you, Mr. Eggers. You creep me out with everything you do. Keep it up. So Robert Eggers gets asked quite a bit, like if any supernatural paranormal activities occurred during filming, and that's kind of in reference to The Exorcist, where they in filming they said that there were a ton of like supernatural events that happened. You know what Robert Eggers replied?
None.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There were none.
I watched 3 different interviews at him at like shows and stuff for the film and or premieres, and every time he was in an interview, they'd always ask that similar question, like, "Hey, when you were filming it, did anything weird happen?" And he always be like, "No, nothing." And then the one interview though asked him, "Hey, in your life, have you ever had anything like superstitious or super natural happen to you?" And he goes, "No comment," which I found very interesting.
Okay, so I found the item that you were talking about,
Okay.
by the way. So during the witch hunts of colonial America, it was widely believed that a witch could not say the entire Lord's Prayer. That is why the family is so upset when Mercy and Jonas are unable to finish the prayer. They're witches, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you now after we just hashed that out again. I totally agree. Those little shits sold their souls to Black Phillip, and Um, I mean, you're right. They're the whole reason this movie goes as south as it does. And it goes so south so fast. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. The language the witches use in the film is Enochian. And if those of you who know who Enoch is, he is a biblical character who gets taken up in a carriage of flame to heaven. He goes straight to heaven because he's such a good boy. So I don't know what Enochian language is, but it must be a real thing. I don't understand kind of some of this stuff. Witches were believed to have a witch's teat, which was a special nipple or blemish which they nursed their familiars and fed them blood. So that's kind of a reference when Catherine nurses the crow after signing a book. I think she signed the witch's book as well, Catherine.
Yeah, Caleb has her sign the book. Or technically, I guess it was Black Phillip disguised as Caleb. Yeah.
Black Phillip was in the hut at the time, so it may have been something else. Oh man, Black Phillip is kind of a cool guy, but yeah, I don't know, man.
Well,
Otherwise,
when that witch shows up though in the hut with the goat's den, we don't see Black Phillip in there right away, do we?
Black Phillip's in the corner. He's not next to her when she's feasting off the nanny goat's milk, which may be blood that she's drinking. I don't know. Because
I wonder if he slipped out of there. No wooden door or anything is going to hold Black Phillip.
It doesn't. He breaks out and he destroys Black Phillip the Destroyer. Well, so Thomason is essentially Carrie. There's a lot of like likening to her. I think this is just kind of a fan theory. So she said it's similar to Carrie White and Carrie, also similar to Nell in The Last Exorcist Parts 1 and 2, where it says that a doomed girl that is put upon, that everyone's accusing of being like a witch or some satanic creature, will just eventually turns to the dark side, based off of their predictions, because of them kind of projecting this belief onto this person. And because of those projections, it happens. It comes to be.
I really like that idea. The connection between her and Carrie. You force this idea out so much that it almost ends up just coming true.
There's a term in psychology. I forgot what it is, but when somebody I can't believe I forgot it. This is my degree. But when somebody does this to you, the more they kind of project this on you, the more likely you are to become that thing. It's very common actually in the world. Like if people think you are a trash human being and you only care about yourself, you will eventually gain those attributes, despite how untrue they may be at the initial start. To no fault of your own. Just slowly happens. I guess maybe it's a form of gaslighting. I couldn't tell you.
Very cool. What else you got for us?
I have nothing more. I think this film is. I'm never watching this again. I don't know. This is just one of those movies that makes me extremely uncomfortable.
So we mentioned this is Robert Eggers' directorial film debut. Yes. But it's also Anya Taylor-Joy's first film with a credited role. And the last piece that I read was that Stephen King, who's obviously called the master of horror, has stated that he was terrified by this film. So that gives
he did say
some
that.
Very good, it's got to be a good film or a good horror film if the master of horror says so. I like that.
There was someone else who said that it scared them. It wasn't just Stephen King. Jesus, man. I always forget this stuff. Brian Keene actually also said that.
And who
Keene
is
was
that?
like, The Witch is a gorgeous, thoughtful, scary horror film. And, Jason Kaufman expressed his frustration saying it was boring, which I somewhat agree. It is a very slow film, and I can see how he gets that.
Yeah, I could, especially on your first watch, I could totally understand that.
Yeah. I give this movie a watch it out of 10 because I can't rate this movie. This is it's well made. I can't say it's good or bad. I can say I personally feel uncomfortable and don't want to watch it again. But
We're not worthy.
if you like unsettling films that are just like people turning on one another and you get the sense of looming death because they don't have crops that are well groomed or taken care of, watch it. You might be right up your alley.
Well said.
But otherwise, I think we're going to talk about what we've been up to lately. Curtis, my friend, tell us about your life.
I actually watched 2 movies I've never seen before. So Darcy the Mail Girl from the last drive-in tweeted at me to watch, not directly at me, but her and I ended up having a conversation on Twitter about the movie Blackula from 1972.
God.
I had never
God.
seen it, and I decided to go down that rabbit hole. And I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun. It is the most funky blaxploitation. What is it?
It is blaxploitation, yes.
It's blaxploitation, yeah. Film I have ever seen, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I don't know. It opened up a whole can of films I've never seen before, so I'm excited. And I decided right after it to watch the sequel, Scream Blackula Scream, and that movie was also fun. A lot of voodoo.
Watch Dolomite next.
I think I've seen that one.
Have you seen My Name is Dolomite on Netflix? It was nominated for an award.
No,
really
I don't
good.
know. We'll have to talk more
Eddie
about
Murphy's greatest, most recent work. You
I
can't
mean,
say Eddie Murphy. I have not seen a good Eddie Murphy movie since like maybe the early 2000s. But this one I highly recommend.
Okay. I signed up for Sugar Rush, the Sugar Rush app on Amazon Prime, because they have a 7-day free trial. So for the next couple of days, I'm going to be binging some more of these blaxploitation films. And Sugar Rush is one of them. Or no, is it Sugar Rush? Yeah, the app's called Brown Sugar. So you know what you're getting into. And the movie's called one of the movies is called Sugar Rush, and I swear I've seen it before because the poster looks so familiar. But anyways, so yeah, that's what I've been up to lately. Going down this rabbit hole. What have you been up to?
Oh God, I've been playing too much Dead by Daylight. I know I bring this up a lot, but I got really okay at the game, and I just started playing Killer, and there's this one character, she just flies around the map, and she teleports everywhere, the nurse, and I just started getting okay with her. Started getting really frustrated because I'm trying to get achievements because I'm wasting my time in my life just by using her perk, and I can't find anyone. And we talked about this last night, but man, I need to take a break. I need to get my life together. I need to just put these toys away, Curtis, because sometimes I get the feeling that this isn't going to really give me validation in my life. It might be self-awareness here coming in, which is honestly scary. I don't want to be self-aware.
So you're waking up from the Matrix. That's what I'm hearing.
Wake me up inside. Can't wake up.
We've chatted that quote back and forth far too many times.
Save me. Let's how about we talk about our plugs real quick. I'm gonna get into the Instagram and the Twitters, and then the email, and the YouTubes too, as well as all that fun stuff. But to plug our Instagram and our Twitter is 2 Guys Horror Pod. That is the number 2 Guys Horror Pod. Reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram. We do a whole lot of fun things. We're really involved with the Mutant Fam. We hang out with Darcy the Mail Girl and Joe Bob Briggs. We may not be. We hang out. We like to watch. We like to be a part of it. We like to kind of get involved in the horror community here. It's a nice, friendly family, situation. Even though it's bloody, gory human remains getting thrown everywhere. That wholesomeness there. And reach out on Twitter. Instagram, we're going to start posting a little. There are going to be more photos coming up, horror involved. So look forward to that. Also, our top 10s. Maybe our top 10 killers. Maybe our top 10 final girls. maybe our top 10 virgins. Who knows what list will come out next as we plan through. Also, check out our YouTube channel. We started posting our podcast there as well. It is just two guys and some horror. Just check it out. Subscribe if you want to have us playing in the background, listen to a podcast, or you can keep listening to us here on whatever platform you choose: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We appreciate you. And if you want to reach out to us for maybe some sweet sponsorship deals, or just say hi and recommend a movie, our email address is two guys, that's the actual word two guys and some horror @gmail.com. With that being said, Curtis, do you have anything else you'd like to say to our lovelies today?
Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, just look out for us on social media. We'll be out there.
Later.
Bye.